Welcome to the Witches Healing Podcast. This is a show that helps you get back to the basics of your spiritual journey. I am your host, Moonstone Energy, spiritual wellness coach, and entrepreneur. I am here to show you that the way out is within. Now let's get into this episode. So, with all this talk about spiritual rank, I want to talk about ways that you can rank up in the hierarchy, okay? And these are keys, right? These are really important because this is going to essentially help you in maintaining that. I mean, of course, there are other intricate things that, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about my mentor, she showed me things that I couldn't see that were my blind areas. Those are some things that are specific to the individual. Then I'm going to talk about later. But for the most part, in general, these are some things that you can do right now and work on right now that can help you in increasing your rank spiritually. So the first thing is, of course, moving with integrity. That's number one, numero uno, okay? A little Spanish. Numero uno. If spirit can't trust you with the wisdom to do the right thing, that same negative behavior can manifest in the real life, impacting your personal relationships. They can't trust you either. If spirit can't trust you with the little bit of information, what do you think is going to happen to you in your waking life? Relationships gone to crap, right? And when I'm talking about integrity, we all know that a lot of people that are gifted, that have the titles that man give them, they have all of the things and they use it to exploit people out of their money, exploit their resources, and just do some cantankerous things. I can go on and on about the church and how they use the church as a front to assault children. I could talk about how the church can be used as a means to defraud people out of their money. Their congregation they could be one missed payment away from getting kicked out of their homes or losing their car, but you better pay those tithes and offerings. So yeah, integrity is very important when you're talking about ranking up spiritually, okay? The next thing would be growth. Your focus in this life is to self-actualize. Along with the lessons spirit will teach, you must be wise enough to know how to turn the wisdom into action. So you can take any course, a spiritual course, learning about a certain practice, learning a certain spell, learning X, Y, and Z. But if you don't know how to take this information and use it to grow and become a better person, a better anything, what's the point? Like literally, what's the point? Okay. All right. The next thing is love thyself and place no one above you. So yes, self-love can be selfish at times, especially if you are placing yourself on the back burner by default. So you have to remember you cannot pour from an empty well. I have been a self-proclaimed victim. Well, not a victim, but a perpetrator in this situation because the type of person that I was, okay, that was past tense, I didn't love myself the way that I should have. And I wanted to be agreeable. I wanted to be the yes ma'am, I guess you can say. Somebody that was easygoing and someone that was always, I'm just happy to be here, I don't want to rock the boat, I was that person. And I had to learn that that sort of behavior breeds resentment in the long run because I was resentful towards a lot of people that I put on a pedestal and I bent over backwards for just so that they were comfortable. I don't do that anymore. I take up all the space that I need, babes. If you don't like it, goodbye. Um, the next one, be receptive to wisdom. Wisdom from spirit is priceless. You should be it should be kept sacred, especially if it is only known within closed practices, unless authorized by spirit to share. Spirit needs to know that you can receive it, honor it, and apply it. So, when we're talking about spiritual wisdom, not only do you need to keep it sacred, but you need to know how to apply it and you need to know how to honor it. And you know how to and when we talk about closed practices, people get touchy about that too because it's like, well, what do you mean? I can't. It's a what's the word I want to use? It's a privilege thing. Some people feel like, well, what do you mean I can't have access to this? I'm supposed to have access to everything, aren't I? What do you mean? Huh? What do you mean? You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to it. The only thing that you're entitled to is the air in your lungs, your life. That is it. That is all. Everything else is given to you by way of hard work and being gifted with it. That's it. That's all. Everything else is off limits. That goes for closed practices and everything else in between. Next, living authentically. You can't impact the world effectively and open doors for others for more with someone else's keys. Most people hate themselves so much so that they believe that if they copy someone else's blueprint, they'll get the same results. When in actuality, what makes everyone unique is where the true power lies. So you can't open the doors to opportunities with someone else's keys. It's impossible. I can't be someone else and no one else can be me. Because like I said earlier, what makes you and the things that shaped you to the person that you are now are your lived experiences. You didn't walk a mile in any of anyone else's shoes but your own. Even if you were their neighbor, you were living adjacent to them, you went to school with them and all the things, you cannot possibly believe that by quote unquote destiny swapping, I don't even believe in that, but by way of taking someone else's destiny, for example, you can energy swap with someone all day. I'm a strong believer in energetic vampirism. Absolutely. I can take whatever energy I need if you're going to give it away freely. Sure, give it to me. You don't want it. What you going to do with it? Give me all the energy that you are just giving away all willy-nilly. But yeah, you can't destiny swap. You can try. The only way that you can assume such power, if you think is a certain power, is if you get rid of the person that you're trying to quote unquote destiny swap with. And even then, it's gonna fail. Even if it takes a years, it's going to fail. So live authentically, use your own keys, and you'll be fine. The next one, discipline, will carry you. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I'm pretty sure you've heard that before. Discipline in your day-to-day life carries over into your practice. We all have the right to take a break, like I said earlier, and practice mindfulness when needed. However, big however, laziness in your practice equals lackluster results. If you are a part of a spiritual house or coven, it is unacceptable. Unacceptable. How can you expect? This is just like going to school. How do you expect to pass a class when you haven't studied? When you haven't read a book, you haven't listened to listened in on a lecture or any of the things. How do you expect to pass a class and move on to the next semester and not flunk out if you don't study, if you don't do your homework, if you don't apply yourself. The same thing goes with your practice. How do you expect to rank up when you are not cleaning your altars, you're not doing your work, you're not meditating, you're not praying, you're not practicing, you're not learning about different correspondences, researching different things? The thing that I noticed when I first got into my practice was what people called back then the baby witches. So the baby witches, although they're new to it, so they're curious, so they're going to ask you, oh, what is this? How do I do this? La blah, blah, blah. And this is for some, not all. But the ones that did, they would consistently ask, how do you do this? Versus researching on their own or asking the right questions, like, which book did you learn this from? Which teacher did you go to get this information? They didn't do that. They just wanted to be spoon fed. And if you know how I know, you can't pass any course at any academic level, on any academic level, without studying and doing your own research and your own homework. Or listening to a lecture. I mean, I know some people and some things you can pass just by, doing whatever, but other things you have to apply yourself. You cannot, you can't even think to level up in such a way and you not apply yourself. It's impossible. It is literally impossible. And lastly, the last way to increase your rank is to understand that spiritual reverence is key. And I know a lot of people, they may have, everyone's practice is different, right? You may work with deities, you may not. You may work with the elements, you may work with the planets, planetary magic. You may work with your ancestors. You may work with the saints. You may not work with any of them. You may just work with, like I said, just chaos, a wing and a pair. And listen, I love chaos magic. I do. But regardless, this applies to everyone. A spirit-led practice keeps you grounded. Spirit is in everything, the earth, spiritually imbued tools, and more. When we look at the pentacle, spirit oversees the human vessel. And the human vessel is also a spirit. You honor spirit and you honor yourself. So this will go back into loving yourself above all else, right? When you look at the pinnacle, and I have the tattoo, it probably needs to get fixed, but spirit is above everything. And then you have the elements. You have fire. You have earth. You have air. You have fire. And then you have water. These elements make up the pentacle. And that is what makes you whole, if that makes sense. That is what shapes you. Even if you don't believe specifically in a deity, you believe in yourself, right? So if you follow these 7 things, you will be well on your way in increasing your spiritual rank. And now I want to talk about something that has been near and dear to my heart, and I've been working on this for quite some time, but in different forms. But I think that this has reached its final form. So I've created a system, and you can find the system on moonstareenergy.com, but it is called the Elevation Blueprint. And what that is a strategic spiritual authority system. Not everyone is spiritually equal, okay? And the Elevation Blueprint is a structured spiritual ranking consultation designed to assess your current position, identify what is limiting your authority, and provide a clear strategic path toward elevation. This is not an ego validation session. This is not a vague intuitive reading, and this is not for the weak. This is a structured evaluation of your spiritual discipline, your emotional maturity, your energetic integrity, your authority level, your influence potential, as well as your structural weaknesses. So I'm essentially assessing every single part that makes you within your practice. And I am breaking everything down so that you can rank up spiritually. And this is going to be tailored to you specifically. So this is going to be your blueprint. And this is going to be something that is spirit led. This is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that I just, this is going to be me working with you as well as your spiritual team in order to get you to where you need to be. And this is something that you can keep with you and reflect back on. And if you're interested, you can even we can even circle back within 30 days of the session and have a sit down and talk about where you are and what, how you've been progressing so far. So this is something that I am very passionate about. And the thing with the elevation blueprint, it is intended to bring your awareness back to your center. So, the only way to become better at your spiritual practice and to make yourself known in the spiritual realm is to become aware of your blind areas. So, I'm strictly here as a liaison. Spirit gave you your gifts, right? But it is my calling to guide you in honing it with the intercession of your spiritual court. Because within your practice, it is very, very easy to lose sight of your progress with life and responsibility. So think of this as a spiritual intervention led by spirit. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening to the Witches Healing Podcast. Make sure you check out the listen notes to this podcast for more details and links and all of the things. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Moonstone_energy, and on TikTok at Moonstone_energy0. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye. The next time you hear from me, let's say the next episode, you'll be one step closer to your highest self, one step closer to stepping into your divine energy and in complete flow. And so it is. Ache.